Good stalkers, my name is Costumes and welcome to my YouTube channel. And today we're having a special task. The ecologist told me that a new guy is coming to the zone and that we should make sure that he joins the right faction without regretting it. I just wonder where this guy is. He doesn't show. Oh, wait. Road blocked. Will be late. Start with. Come on. Make sure to get over here before I kick your useless okay. Damn. The battery died. I really like those things, but sometimes they are not the best mean of communication in the zone. I just think that the emissions are really damaging the batteries over time. Still, we are going to talk about stalker factions today. This video is especially for the new stalkers that are coming to the zone and have no idea which faction they should join. Don't worry, no spoilers ahead. We are staying on a superficial level. This is knowledge that every stalker has in the zone. At some point in our lives in the zone, we have to make a decision whether we join a faction or we don't. So I would be more interested to know which was the first faction that you guys joined. May it be on a mod or in free play, and also, did you regret it? Let me know in the comments below. Speaking of regrets, to make sure that the new stalkers do not regret their choices, let's start with the video and everything that new stalkers need to know about the factions in the zone. And since our sponsors are the ecologists, let's start with the ecologists. These guys are scientists in the zone that want to research the zone. They're, besides of military, the only faction that is legally in the zone. They're funded by the government and they have two nice mobile bunkers in Jupiter and in Yantar. Probably not the best locations to live in, but still they have those mobile labs. They have good gear for research, for scouting anomalous fields, but their gear is also not very well adapted towards combat situations. That's why they are either protected by stalkers, the military, or the mercs, like SCAR. Their equipment consists of different kinds of suits that protect them from anomalous fields, and also the Walker P9M pistol, the EL86 rifle, one of the first scope rifles in Stalker Shadow of Chernobyl, and the AKM. Still, they are not made for combat. These guys are probably the most pacifist faction in the zone, but if that's your thing, they could be the right faction for you. So maybe my boys from the Pripyat Talks can convince you to join the ecologist.
Hi, I am Vanguard from Pripyat Talks. My favorite faction is the scientific research group known as the Ecologists, and you should join them if you want to get paid very well for artifact hunting, and if you also want to get to wear the coolest suit in the whole zone.
One faction that definitely does not want you to research the zone is Monolith. Monolith soldiers are religious fanatics that believe that the zone and the wish granter is divine. They pray to the monolith and they fight almost everyone in the zone. These guys are hostile towards all our factions, but luckily you can only find them up further north. Even though sometimes you're able to find dead monolith soldiers in other places in the zone, kinda implying that they might be sending out scouts. Still, these guys are incredibly well armed. I have no idea where they get their gear from, but monolith soldiers have basic monolith suits, and these suits are comparable to the Sunrise suits or Merc suits. They have their own Seva model and also access to exoskeletons. Also, their guns vary on a quite large scale, but you'll find a lot of NATO weapons among them and even the RPG rocket launcher. So just kinda avoid fighting monolith soldiers unless you're a really experienced stalker. But if you encounter them, expect some serious resistance. And if you're still not convinced whether this adventurous lifestyle of a monolith soldier is the right one for you, maybe my boy Spartamosi can convert you to the one and true faith in the zone.
My favorite faction, I'd say Monolith, because I really like how creepy they were. I really like how they marked their territory with something like heads on spikes. Overall, their fanatic ways were always quite cool to me. So I'd say my favorite faction is Monolith, and you should join it if you're a fanatic like I am.
If you want to research the zone, but don't feel like living in a stone block in a swamp, maybe living in a wooden shed in a swamp could be an option for you. S.T.A.L.K.E.R is a paramilitary organization of scientists that want to research the zone. The first time we encounter S.T.A.L.K.E.R is in the game STALKER S.T.A.L.K.E.R, and they're a faction that lives in the newly accessible greater swamps of the zone, and they usually stick to themselves. They avoid ideological conflicts with other factions. Still, they have conflict with Renegades, who flooded the area after it became accessible, and now are quite a pain in the for them. These guys don't have the best equipment that you can expect. Mostly light armor, pistols, double-barrel shotguns, hunting rifles. You can tell that this faction wants to research the zone, not conquer it. Still, when you encounter them on more difficult tasks, you can expect them to have the CS1 and CS3 body armor, which is much better than the leather jackets. But it's rather unusual that they leave the swamps and head further north. Still, S.T.A.L.K.E.R is a faction that is quite suitable for stalkers that want to live in a remote location, that want to research the zone, believe that the zone can benefit mankind, and that have no issues with a lot of mosquitoes around you. Another faction that believes that the zone benefits mankind is Freedom. A duty usually calls them anarchists. They call themselves Freedom. As you may think, the name implies that these guys are quite anti-authoritarian. They believe that the zone should be free and accessible for most people, but it benefits mankind. Thus, they oppose all kind of authority in the zone. So they're not only in firefights with the military, but also with duty as well. They're sworn enemies. Freedom can provide some good equipment. Their most basic equipment is at least at the standard of that of a mediocre loner, a sunrise suit. So you will be able to encounter the Wind of Freedom suit on quite a lot of occasions in the zone, but Freedom also provides better combat armor up to exoskeleton and sabers. So these guys are well geared. Also, they have access to all kind of Western arms, typical NATO weapons, probably through the black market, probably selling contraband and artifacts toward the outer world, and getting some good NATO weapons in return. Their location is the army warehouses. It is to the rather east of Rostock, and that makes quite difficult neighborhood, because on the west is Rostock, duty, their sworn enemies. If you believe that the zone should be a free and unregulated place, and you're a little bit anti-authoritarian, Freedom might be the right place for you. Or if you just like to smoke weed. If you do not like weed, maybe Duty is the right choice for you. Duty is a paramilitary organization that consists mostly of former military soldiers. These guys made sure that they got a nice and prestigious place in the zone, and that is Rostock. The Rostock area that contains the famous 100 Reds bar. One of the trade centers of the zone is under Duty control. Duty believes that the zone is a dangerous place, expanding, and needs to be destroyed.
Chernobyl veterans, join Duty. We have a huge responsibility to protect the world from the expanding zone.
Duty will thus not sell any kind of artifacts towards the outer world, they're giving them to the ecologists, and Duty is the only faction besides of kind of military that tries to destroy the mutants for, the cause of destroying mutants, which is good, especially for other stalkers. Duty helped a lot of stalkers doing that. If you want to join Duty, you will have to expect that you will live in a military organization. You will have a strict hierarchy and you will have to follow orders. To ensure that you will be able to fulfill your duties, Duty will get you gear. They have the right gear for the right causes. So either you will get the standard Duty suit, which is still better than a sunrise suit, but they have sabers and they also can provide you with exoskeletons. Duty has also access to quite a lot of weapons, especially the ones from the former Comblock countries. You will find several kinds of weapons on the AK platform in Duty ranks. If you believe that the zone is a dangerous place, if you believe that the zone should be contained and mutants destroyed, Duty might be the right choice for you, especially if you seek the comradeship of a somewhat military society or just want to follow orders without having to think too much about it. But if you want to think about what you're doing, if you have your own goals and your own motives, Loners could be the right choice for you. Loners are probably the largest and most diverse faction in the zone. They can only be hardly described as a faction itself, since they are the group that just does not fit in any of the other groups in the zone. Loners are a very, very heterogeneous group, and thus you will never know who you are encountering. They have their own goals and motives, their own lifestyles, and their own means of living. Also, they are not all hunters and scavengers. Loners also tend to set up either workshops, become traders, or even run an arena. If you want to become a loner, make sure that you bring equipment, because some loners have quite bad equipment. You will see loners with leather jackets and pistol, and you will see loners with exoskeletons and Vintores. Their equipment really depends on how experienced they are, and it's hard to become experienced in the zone without, well, having someone to show you around. So usually you will see experienced stalkers, veteran stalkers taking rookies on their expeditions through the zone and teaching them how to survive. Thus, loners, in most cases, show up in smaller groups. The first place you will encounter loners is Cordon, but you will find them in the 100 Reds bar. You will find them further north. Loners can be found in most places of the zone, depending on their gear and experience. Playing as a loner might be the right choice for you, and if that doesn't convince you yet, maybe Terran can convince you with her experience as a loner.
My favorite faction is Loner, because screw listening to anyone else's rules. As a loner, your heart is your guide, and with no one else to listen to but yourself, the zone is truly yours for the taking. My favorite faction is Loner, and you should not join anyone else if you want true freedom in the zone.
While the only real enemies that loners have are the Bandits and the Monoliths, there's one group that also wants the loners out of the zone, and that is the military. The military is the second faction that is legally in the zone. These guys are tasked with the job to make sure that no civilians enter the zone, that no contraband leaves or enter the zone, and to contain the dangers created through mutants and anomalies. Thus, they're not very friendly towards the other factions of the zone, even though they kinda tend to avoid contact with Duty, and for some reason, sometimes they're also, like, allowing a loner to sneak by. Military soldiers are usually encountered at key locations in the zone, especially the borders of the zone and some checkpoints in Cordon. Still, these guys are also able to put up a fight when it's necessary, meaning they can be sent in for raids in the zone. Thus, their equipment also kinda varies. When you're a regular trooper just on watch, you will have the beryl armored suit and an AK. But if you're experienced and if you're being sent in for some combat mission, you will probably wear a heavy bullet armor and Groza or Vintores. These guys can put up some serious fights. Of course, they are the Ukrainian military. So you can expect the military to have well-maintained gear, quite a acceptable standard of gear, and enough supplies to just, survive. Military is probably the right faction if you want to contain the dangers of the zone, and if you at some point just stop caring about the other factions of the zone and just want to make sure that the zone stays where it is. So if you're a law-abiding citizen that wants to enter the zone and you have no academic degree, military is probably the only way for you to get in without getting in trouble with the authorities. Consider that. If you're a professional when it comes to working as a mercenary, the mercs are the right place for you. They are also difficult to consider as one faction, since mercenaries have different contractors, but they have one thing in common. They all are profit-oriented workers in the zone, and they have quite questionable morals doing so. So you will never know which kind of job mercenaries are doing, but whatever they're doing it on a professional standard, and thus their gear also looks like that. They either have merc suits, severs, or even exoskeletons, and usually they bring NATO weapons. Mercenaries can have all kinds of different backgrounds, but overall they can be expected to be combat efficient and experienced troops, but will probably do what we're told because that's what we're getting paid for. It is not sure whether mercenaries have a base in the zone, but if they have a base, it's quite well hidden since they are the most secretive faction in the zone. Mercs are not always hostile towards our stalkers, it really depends on the contract. Sometimes you can even see mercs doing jobs for the ecologists or just protecting areas in the zone. It is difficult to tell who pays them, but it probably even doesn't matter for the mercs themselves, they just want their money. So if you're a professional hired gun with questionable moral compass, mercs are the right place for you. If you have questionable morals but not necessarily enough combat experience to be a hired gun, living as a bandit could be the way of life in the zone for you. The bandits are quite a large group and also quite a diverse group, but on the average they all have in common that they make their living through criminal activities and robberies, muggings, stealing, whatsoever. Mostly these guys used to be criminals in the outer world but came to the zone to either make a living, escape debts or persecution. They roam the zone in gangs. Only few bandit gangs actually get big enough to have a permanent base, but depending on the game you play, Dark Valley could be one of the locations you could encounter bandits in. Rumors say that there are also bandits with quite good gear, but the average bandit that you will encounter in the zone is just your armed gopnik that just knows how to make a living without having to work for it. You will have a lot of enemies in the zone, you will have only very few friends, and it's hard to choose who you can trust even among bandits because, I mean, how should you trust criminals? The life of a bandit might be the right lifestyle for you if you want to live in a zone without having to worry too much about moral choices, but rather about who is the next person you're going to mug. And if you're not still convinced that the life of a criminal in the zone is the right one for you, maybe my boy Yerin can tell you more about that.
Bandits are for the people that have been stabbed in the back too many times and are tired of being the one stabbed, and or for people that realized the newcomers into the zone are very stressed out and they're easy pickings at the gunpoint. Also, I don't ever know why we are called the thieves when literally you have Sidorovich at the base. The biggest scammer and thief of all Stalker universe is sitting there.
If bandits are too social for you, maybe you could become a renegade. The renegades are former bandits that left their groups and went to the newly accessible area of the greater swamps. The renegades are bandits. They are rather poorly equipped bandits because they're isolated from the rest of the zone and because they are stuck in a turf war with clear sky. But some stalkers will say that you can even encounter renegades in other areas of the zone and that these squads will be better equipped. The majority of renegades still is stuck in the swamps and in this turf war with clear sky. So if you feel like a true outcast, if you really want to be as isolated as possible, and if you don't mind having almost everyone in the zone as your enemy, the renegades are probably the right choice for you. And also, make sure to bring some mosquito repellent, these guys are living in a swamp. Well, still no new messages, so I guess this guy isn't coming today, but I hope he will see this video and this video will help him. And if you're a new stalker and this video helped you to gain maybe some kind of impression of which faction could be the right one for you, let me know in the comments below. I'm very interested to see which kind of lifestyle the new stalkers in the zone are going to experience. And if you're an experienced stalker, make sure that this video ends up in the hands of maybe a friend or a rookie that just made his way to the zone or just plays too many free play mods and doesn't even know the stalker story, so that he also at least knows what's going on before getting involved in his first firefight. Whether you're a new or an experienced stalker, make sure to join the Stalker Squad by subscribing to this YouTube channel, because we are going to have a fresh video here every week till the release of Stalker 2. And to make sure that time passes a little bit quicker, I'll just get myself a drink at the bar. And in the meanwhile, you can check out my other videos. And we will see each other in the next one. Until then, good hunting, stalkers.